I'm Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. And welcome to my review of episode 612 of MST3K The Starfighters. This was a recent request from the awesome Enshohma, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. This is an episode from what I consider the middling Season 6. 6 has some great stuff for sure, but quite a few of this season's offerings have fallen by the wayside. Such is the case with this specific experiment from 1964, which stars Bob Dornan, who went on to serve in the U.S. House of Representatives. Is this episode worth being remembered in mystery? Let's find out and dive into my review of MST3K episode 612, The Starfighters. We start with a cold open, with Crow attempting to log onto the internet with poor results. Perhaps this was more entertaining in the 1990s, but now it's honestly kinda stale. Like, it's clearly showcasing the relatability of man, computers, am I right? But that's literally the entire joke, and it's never worked for me. But you know what does work for me? Cowboy Mike's Red Hot Ricochet barbecue sauce! Mike and the Bot's random barbecue sauce skit is great. I think mostly because of the extreme performances from the trio. I think I also relate to a bowl of barbecue sauce being from Kansas City and all, even though the hats seem to make this a Texan parody, which is ironic because Texas is the state that's famous for not typically using sauce on their barbecue.
Be careful. Hi everyone, welcome to the Satellite of Love. Say you're just in time to see old Crow here log on to the information superhighway. Oh. Wow, it looks like it locked up, huh?
Yeah, looking for UART at FX1050. What does that mean?
I don't know. I must have configured my COM ports incorrectly. Of course. Let me on the information superhighway, you stupid little...
Still looking for UART at FX1050
Oh, let me on the information superhighway! Honey. I want onto the information superhighway!
We'll be right back. Careful with that.
Yo-ho, boobies! Looky what we got. We got cranial ports. You know, the future belongs to those.
Hold on there, partner, because we got sauce. Barbecue sauce.
Yes, sirree! It's Cowboy Mike's own original red hot ricochet barbecue sauce.
Do you think it might be bold?
Bold? Well, hell yes, it's bold. It's Cowboy Mike's own original red hot ricochet barbecue sauce.
Speaking of which, saucy ones, your movie today is called Starfighters, a bold Air Force epic.
There is no known antidote for new extra bold Cowboy Mike's own original red hot ricochet
Our experiment opens with seeing some planes take off, leading to our opening credits as they fly in that big blue sky. And this movie really loves transportation, as we see our leading men in a convertible watching the planes go by. Then we get our first scene of the planes refueling. Yes, planes filled with people we don't know, just routinely refueling. Truly riveting cinema. All we learn from this is the team's codename is Cordite, and one of them has trouble refueling. And it goes on for far too long, like at least 6 times longer than it should be. And it's full of many innuendos, but we'll cover that a little later. Once they touch back down, Cordite leader, Major Bob Stevens, gets told that he needs to go see a man by the name of Colonel Hunt, but not before he chews out the pilot who is having issues hooking up to the fueling plane.
And don't come back.
Robert Dornan? The congressman?
What, couldn't they get Rush Limbaugh? Oh, it's so grand. Oh.
Been through the desert on a car with no name.
Bob Dornan, wild at heart. Yeah, see, the Charleston was really big back in the 60s.
23 skidoo.
I'm full, thank you.
Just lie back and think of England's airspace.
Oh, sweet mystery of life, at last I found you.
I'm sorry, that's never happened to me.
Weakened the snuggle for a while, that's okay.
All right, Cordite 4, you'll hook up now and take on 4,000 pounds. All set?
Gas was so cheap, 4,000 pounds was like $1 back then.
Be simpler just to pull up to a pump in the ground, but...
Cordite.
Mrs. Robinson, are you trying to seduce me?
Cordite 4 from Lead, what's the matter? This isn't your first time up here. Let's go.
Shut up, I'm doing it, okay?
Settle down. Just hook up and maintain your proper position.
Oh, that's so constructive. That helps a lot.
And as the seasons change, the refueling continues.
All right, I promise you'll call. And they can fly over mountains, too.
You're gonna get it.
Colonel Hunt sent word he wants to see you, sir. Now? Well, he said as soon as you got down.
Okay. It's about your face. It's too lumpy.
Hi. Hey, how are ya? Hey, come on over here. I want to talk to you. Come here. Yeah, that's right. Come here.
Isn't it nice how you can be playing while listening to the world's most beautiful music?
What's the matter, Bradley? You trying to give me a bad time up there?
I'd like to explain about that, Major Stevens, sir.
Explain nothing. It took you 2 minutes to hook up, and that's 2 minutes too long.
Should have been none minutes.
What's going to happen to you when we get up?
Hey, Fred. Yeah, Bob. General wants you to report to his office at base headquarters immediately.
Not an actor.
104 pilots.
In Colonel Hunt's office, he informs Major Stevens they're transferring 3 of his men. In their places, he's getting 3 new lieutenants, including the son of a congressman. Through much exposition, it's revealed that John Wachowski Sr. was a part of the Air Force, but wasn't a fighter pilot, and therefore doesn't want his son to be one either. On the flip side of that, his son has told no one that he is the son of a congressman and not asking for any special treatment, even though he's a junior, therefore making it obvious who his dad is. We then see the young son and his friend Lieutenant York driving up to the base as 2 of the 3 new recruits, followed by a young couple with the man of the pair clearly being the third one, Lieutenant Lyons. We then follow them into Colonel Hunt's office and then out onto the tarmac where they learn about the starfighters they'll be flying, and then they get up in the air.
Ah!
Good morning, Colonel Hunt.
Oh, it's you.
Morning,
I never
Bob.
get used to you.
Have a seat. I'll be right with you.
Is your face odd, misshapen? Join the Air Force.
Bob, you're going to lose 3 of your officers.
I'm going to kill them.
Coming in are First Lieutenants William York, Eugene Lyons, and John W. Witkowski.
Bunny?
Jr. Junior? Son of Congressman John W. Witkowski.
Senior.
And also the Colonel Witkowski, who flew the B-24s over Pulaski, Schweinfurt, Regensburg, and about every other
Snickerdoodle.
place those Mack trucks, making sure that the Air Force doesn't lose out on any of his planned projects.
So that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yet I feel hollow.
He wants him out of the Tactical Air Command and into SAC.
In the sack?
He wants the boy to push the big stuff around like Daddy used to do 20 years ago.
Well, maybe he should be briefed again on how our attack fighters did it alone at Lebanon and Taiwan, and more recently Berlin.
Well, at least the young lieutenant knows what he wants. He hasn't let anybody know he's the son of a VIP or asked for any preferential treatment. So you treat him like one of the boys.
Okay, everyone set with the premise of the movie? Some sort of plane thing or something?
Oh,
George, we were supposed to go to Larry Air Force Base.
Yeah, take that paper. That's right, make it swing, Junior. You know, Junior tried to be a singer, but he couldn't cut it. Sit down, Junior. A Malibu Barbie car.
Kidnapped by Carol Channing.
Honey, just wait in the car till my tour of duty is done.
Ooh. I love his sweaty butt.
Our job, spray talc on that man's butt.
Now this is the Starfighter.
Get in.
Lockheed's F-104 air superiority fighter.
Excuse me. Put it out,
It's a
put it
part
out.
of the team of the Tactical Air.
Some bird, huh?
Where? Oh.
Look out for the leading edge of that wing, Lieutenant Lyons. It's sharp.
Don't run with that wing.
No, I mean it. Go ahead and try and slice something on it.
See, we can make a really sharp
almost
wing.
Like a knife. By the way, where did you men come from?
Russia?
Any of you married?
Please, no, no, please.
My wife's with me here. And 2 bachelors, I suppose.
I wasn't finished about my wife.
Well, a couple of good-looking troops like you shouldn't have trouble finding dates in a hurry.
You just furnish us with a couple of leads, Major.
Right now, I'm here to furnish you with information about this airplane.
But you brought it
I've
up.
already read the...
Yeah, there's plenty of girls around here.
Well, that's great, because I'm really...
Shut up!
I get...
100 rounds per second, gentlemen. Oh.
You're not here to admire this plane.
This is the... Go on back to the squadron room. You'll be briefed.
Yippee, I'm a pilot. I know how to fly now.
You know, it's a little tough on the wife. I mean, checking on a new base and all of that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, the wife is going to be awful glad to see the me.
Promise you'll write, sir?
I'm gonna address this more at the end of the review, but some of these segments are so uninteresting they're barely worth talking about. Like this one, where Tom and Crow remake the refueling scene and Crow misses out on the call he's been on hold for. Doesn't sound so bad, but man is it surprisingly bland.
Corner Crow, quit fooling around and get yourself in position. This isn't the first time you've been up here.
Roger.
Name and serial number, please. Hello? Hello?
Huh.
Brian! Oh, hey, you can help me. I'm having trouble getting on the information superhighway, and you can kick...
After Wachowski and York go up for their first flights, Major Stephen reports that Wachowski did phenomenally well despite his father's insistence he not be up in a fighter. That night, while Lyons is out on a date with his wife Betty, his fellow greenhorns crash it for a few minutes. Immediately, Lyons' wife says she could set the two bachelors up for dates if they'd like, and boy do they like. Wachowski and York head to the bar and give us some backstory. John clearly has a natural gift for flying, as York confirms, but he doesn't necessarily have a passion for it. He ended up in the Air Force because his father wanted him to be in the Air Force, not because of his own drive or ambition toward it. And more flying footage with weirdly unfitting music. Then, after receiving some Starfighter patches, some confusing editing.
Quietly, George Tower, runway 16, clear to
Oh, he's suddenly become mellifluous.
Wheels. What doesn't this movie have? It's a sexy land.
We bring you into the hangar in a relaxed kind of way.
Tell the tower the music's a little loud.
Could do better, failed to yield.
F-.
Oh no!
Wachowski seems to have been born in one.
Oh, yeah? The way his old man feels about it? Why? What happened?
Well, after half an hour of some familiarization flying, I gave him the feel of it. He made me ashamed of the 1,000 hours I've logged in this bird.
What's the beef, Bob?
Well, none, Colonel, but frankly, I never saw a neophyte handle an airplane the way Wachowski did.
What's a neophyte, Bob?
Sure, he was a little sloppy. No, Wachowski's the start of a darn good fighter pilot.
Why don't you marry
He
him?
was obviously...
Up, and away.
Well, hello there.
Well, hello there yourself.
She's a ding-a-ling.
Picture of you guys aren't going anywhere.
Sure.
You don't mind if we continue to make love?
Some friends of...
Huh. Hey, you really are on the prowl.
You stay out of this.
Yes, stay out of this.
Honey.
Now, which one of you two nice young men is looking for a date?
Me. Right here. Well, not to change the subject, but just how did it go out there today, huh? You get me a date, and I'll take you up on that dinner offer. Okay?
We'll see. Nice meeting you, Betty.
Great scene.
You know, John, I never really realized what a tiger you are.
Shh, not here.
Why, I'm just a so...
Hey, I live for this stuff, don't you?
Sure, Bill. Flying's my first love right now.
After drinking.
If I weren't a throttle jock, why, maybe I'd be on a Navy underwater demolition team or some other wild outfit. And that'd be my first love.
Not decoupage?
You mean to say you didn't want it?
Okay, sport. Here to some really good flying.
I'll drink to that.
17 and a half scotches later.
Mike, shall we?
Oh, I'd love to.
The afterbird.
You're as light as air.
Oh, that's lovely. Where did you learn that step?
Well, gentlemen, now that you've soloed in the Starfighter, you're entitled to this patch.
Oh, great, a
I'm sure
patch.
you'll discover that that pilot right there is going up for another high-altitude sidewinder firing test.
Nope, just going to clean out my plane.
Colonel Hunt, sir, they've been looking for you. Telephone call from Washington.
And I've been looking for you, O'Brien.
What's happening?
General has just been informed.
Colonel Hunt gets a phone call from Congressman John Wachowski, who, after exchanging pleasantries, leans into the colonel and engages in some helicopter parenting. He reads off that the fighters have far more accidents than the bombers like he used to fly in the war. The colonel tells him the systems are perfect, and it's the human error that causes the incidents, not the fighters themselves. Next, there's footage of some bombers and their practices, which means even less to us as an audience, as we haven't met, nor will we meet, a character that flies one of these things. Later on, it turns out that Betty had snagged a date for one of the lieutenants, and Wachowski ends up getting it since York will be busy that night. The Lyons, John Jr., and the girl, named Mary, whose main personality trait is that she's from Iowa, all go out to dinner together and exchange what I assume is supposed to be banter. They're then interrupted by a guy Lyons knows, Captain O'Brien, a completely pointless character, but pretty much like every character we've met so far.
Colonel Hunt speaking.
Good morning, Colonel Hunt. You're a hard man to find.
Sarah?
Who's this? But I believe your boy is up on a training mission right now. I'd have him talk to you.
No, I merely wanted to introduce myself to you.
Perhaps dinner.
We may
or...
have a bit in common. All right, then, is he?
I only met him once, Congressman, but he seems like a personable boy to me.
What do you
I
want?
have no trouble with his...
I'm comparing it with an accident-free record, which is what it should be.
Exactly
Forehead
right.
has been clear-cut.
In this day of advanced engineering, the equipment is virtually perfect.
Here we go.
We still have the human factor to contend with. That's why your boy is here.
He's
To
human.
be supervised and...
Kaboing! It's the new Air Force Goofy Bomb from Whammo.
It landed on Pigpen.
I'm out on a bombing run with my baby. Yeah, come on. Bounce one for me. Bounce one, yeah.
There we go.
Sit down, Junior.
We're gonna bomb them back to the jazz age.
Bombing! Yeah!
It's a volatile mixture of hot munitions and cool jazz.
You all want to climb in this bug?
Excuse me?
Hold it. He goes on a 24-hour duty as assistant aerodrome officer, and he knows it.
Yeah, my name has been on the list for 3 weeks now, and there's nothing I can really do about it. And besides, you never really should send a boy to do a man's job.
She really would have preferred me anyway.
She just moved to the West Coast with her family. I met them all out in Apple Valley.
So I must have looked lonesome.
Shut up,
You
Iris.
did.
Well, we're going to take... Harry, where are you from anyway?
Iowa.
Oh, so you're stupid.
Say, I've heard of that place.
For the last 2 years, I was what they call a corn detasseler.
Wow.
What?
A corn detasseler.
What in blazes is that?
Well, that's a person who removes the pollen-bearing tassels from 5 rows of corn.
Check,
Then
please.
skips a couple of rows.
Well, now.
Have you accepted Jesus?
I've been here at George for the past 3 years now, and every time I see a pretty new face, I have to find out who it belongs to.
So, what's your name, soldier?
Hi, Ben. Oh, thanks very much. I don't mind if I do.
Where's that stupid Iowa chick? She get here?
Well, tell me, where did you come from, Mary?
Iowa, if you must know.
Iowa! What you do back there?
And another bland segment is Tom and Crow debrief Mike. I appreciate a pun, but that's all this segment has going for it.
Major Nelson, we are now halfway through the movie. At this point in time, we feel it is now necessary to debrief you. Get him! No! Get away from there! What are you doing? Yes! Mission accomplished!
Hey,
Whoa!
how'd you get those off past my jumpsuit?
Well, we have our little ways.
O'Brien goes to take a phone call from York, who's calling him from literally right next to him for some reason, and he gets O'Brien to take a job off his hands. It ends on what's supposed to be a comedic note, but man is that bit needlessly confusing. At the end of the night, John brings Mary home from the date, leading to some more, supposedly, character-building dialogue about how John was stationed outside of Vegas before the current base. Mary distinctly pulls back when he wants to kiss her, thanks him for the date, seeming to have genuinely enjoyed it, and heads to her front door. Smash cut to our 3 newbies learning more plane stuff and heading up to do some gunning. Unfortunately, Wachowski's plane's experiencing some hydraulic failure as well as issues with the landing gear, and he doesn't know if he can land safely.
Captain O'Brien.
What?
Is that the one guy?
Which guy is this guy?
That one other guy.
Which guy?
I don't know, but he was the one.
Now, what's up, Bill? Fred, look, all of these guys speak good English. You know that. They just need somebody to clear them through and to get them billeted.
Oh, it hurts.
I'm going to be tied up in the...
Okay, I'll be right down and check them in.
This movie's become abstract all of a sudden.
I already have your wheels for you, Fred. They're right out front. Yeah, thanks, Bill.
Hey!
I want to kick this movie in the groin and snag on it and give it a power sit-up.
Your house is all dark. Did your folks go to bed early?
Either that or they aren't in yet themselves.
Or I murdered them.
Did you have fun tonight?
Did you Wang Chung tonight?
Vegas is a swinging town.
This place must seem awfully quiet to you after that, then.
No, I kind of like it here.
Now, why don't you kiss her instead of talking her to death?
While I was there, but it was really...
I have to get up early in the morning. After church, the folks want to spend the rest of the day at Lake Arrowhead.
Then there's my virgin
I
classes.
just want to say that I really enjoyed myself tonight.
Well, then come on.
You don't have to walk me to my door.
I have a gun on you.
Man, what a great split level.
Oh, boy.
Stay awake, gentlemen. You've got an important one today. In an hour, it had better be lying on the floor of Death Valley, so full of holes it wouldn't even have salvage value for matchsticks.
Take a good, steamy look at it. Come on!
I want nothing but hits from then on. Understand?
What would it do for your morale if I told you of all the times I've been up in these birds, I never have hit one of those things yet?
Sir, nothing,
Colonel,
sir!
I know all about your reputation for not...
The association are back. Was.
Whatever.
This is high enough for me. Thank you very much.
My number 2 hydraulic system is dropping rapidly.
All right, let's clear the range and I'll get on your wing. Take up the heading for the base.
Yes, sir.
Well, you can tell it's a dangerous situation by the music.
Sir, I've got an unsafe gear indication and my number 2 hydraulic system reads absolute 0.
What is right with you?
William, manually bolt one. I'm calling in requesting emergency restraining approach.
And go ahead and kiss your ass goodbye.
George Tower, Port I'd lead.
I'm incapable of love. Over.
George Tower.
Landing gear down but indicating unsafe. I'm declaring an emergency.
When he's crying, too.
Roger, Corride.
Wachowski's told to try to land with an emergency crew on standby. While this is obviously intended to be an intense moment where we wonder if John will be safe or explode on impact, it's completely emotionless as an audience member. He also lands just fine, but there's no sense of interest or relief, just boredom. John then gets a call from his dad, who tries to scare him into applying to transfer to a different outfit like the one he used to be a part of. John stands his ground, though, and refuses. In the evening, the three lieutenants, Betty and Mary, go to dinner, but York ends up getting pulled away for being on the wrong end of the same phone gag from earlier. Later on, the two couples drive into the middle of the desert for some late-night smooching.
The turtle called Gabra is approaching the base.
Whoa! Keep clear of George's traffic pattern. I repeat, we have an emergency. Maintain radio silence.
All this because a girl wouldn't kiss him.
Oops, sorry. It's just my seatbelt's in the door.
I know I'm supposed to feel something, but I don't.
With you.
Did they ever consider that this wasn't riveting?
Boy, the potential for something to happen is very high right now.
I bet he feels a little silly right now.
Well, that's the moron's problem. He's got a parachute jammed in his plane.
Oh, no wonder. Ah, one of the great anticlimaxes, huh?
You're supposed to call Operator 12, Washington, D.C. Right. Thanks, Gene. Hey, do you have any influence back there?
Oh, nothing's wrong, Johnny. We haven't heard from you for a while, and we're wondering if everything's all right out there.
No, Dad, everything's okay.
I just hate you.
Hey, it's great. Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. We've been so busy here lately. I guess I've been kind of lax in writing to you and Mom.
Well, bye.
How is she?
I've been reading a number of reports lately that come across my desk telling me of all sorts of accidents.
Accidents? What kind?
Put Dad on the line.
The usual. I'm in a position to make it real easy for you to get into an operational B-52 wing right away, Johnny.
I'm sorry, that doesn't interest me in the least.
For heaven's sake, boy, I'm interested.
Come on, Dad. Look, I'm here to stay, and no one is going to change my mind.
I got life in me,
Can we
Big
get off
Daddy.
it now?
So long, John.
I want his family dead. Oh, that's me. My dad died in the war. Who was that?
Hey, here they are.
Hey, Betty.
Hey, Bill, you want it on the telephone, out in the lobby.
Well, who found me here?
I don't know, but somebody's been looking for you all day.
Don't touch a thing. I'll be right back.
Can I touch my glass? I was already touching my glass.
Oh, good. I never get tired of this stunt.
Listen, Lieutenant York. I've got a date tonight, and I'd as soon put this off till next week.
Why don't you let it go on it?
Look, I'll supply the Dexedrine, no charge.
Whoa.
I'm glad you called to tell me that you're volunteering. Hey, what's the matter, Bill? You look like an astronaut who wasn't selected to get into orbit. You teed off about something? Tails, I get the wrong end of everything. Hey!
Ah, yes. That provided much-needed comic relief from all the gripping drama.
Hey.
I'm getting used to this desert country.
Shut up, Iris.
I may even get to like it if we
Shut up, I
stay
tell
here
you.
long enough.
There go a couple of starfighters off on a night mission.
God, she's dead.
No, we're a good 10 miles from the base.
Mary and John finally kiss in a moment that must be there to make us feel romantical, but fails miserably. The next day, the Major's telling our recruits about the day's missions. They then head into the sky for more fantastically pointless refueling scenes. It turns out that the weather was about to get sour, though, and Stevens heads back to the base assuming the other three Cordettes would be smart enough to land when and where they can safely. But apparently, that wasn't quite the case.
Wasn't he Caucasian earlier?
This reminds me about the time at Luke.
Oh, you.
Some of the hottest snuggling you'll ever see on the screen.
You may come in now.
Oh, you are so the only girl around.
If you don't get us home real soon, we'll have to unroll our sleeping bag right here.
And you would want us to do that now, would you?
He meant that dirtifully.
This will be a combination cross-country and refueling mission. Now, you've all been on the KC-135 tankers before, so you know the procedure.
Plenty of booze and
You've
Dexys.
each taken on 5. Any questions?
Where do we buy our books? I think we're at the point where something's got to happen.
You asked for more refueling, and we're giving it to you.
Yes. I'm at a loss. Now, we've done promiscuity ententes.
Check.
Cuddling in the afterglow?
Check.
Multiple partner illusion.
Got it.
Premature ejaculation innuendo?
Yep.
Gas station jokes.
In there.
Impotence.
Oh, yeah.
One night stand stuff.
It's all covered.
Okay, let's just watch then.
Oh, refueling is a beautiful natural thing that's nothing to mock.
Okay, you're right. Remember the world before this film, before refueling?
There was sunshine and laughter.
Bunnies and kittens.
People seem to laugh more then.
No, man. No, you can't cut me off. Just 4,000 more pounds, then I'll quit.
Oh, Junkie Joe. You're so cold.
They've reported thunderstorms, high winds, extreme turbulence, and maximum cloud tops to 45,000 feet.
There, you old...
Are we clear?
I don't know.
The base is...
They know what to do, and they have sufficient fuel to find an alternate in case they get stuck. Keep me informed as they come in.
This movie has severe contraindications.
The George Tower, this is Cordite 1. Request landing information, over.
Cordite 1, George Tower, land runway 16, wind 170 at 20 knots, gusty to 30, call on downwind with gear.
Remember FDIC.
Roger.
You're the only one back.
Shut
I
up.
wasn't going to set her down in some alternate when I knew I could get in here easily.
Sure, but why didn't your flight do it?
Colonel, we both know they can put into Nellis, March, Luke,
Joshua,
Edwards, half a
Judges.
dozen other places.
Tower just received a report from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office that a local rancher observed a jet fighter.
Who is this? What do you want? Leave me alone!
Back out on deck, we get a highly underrated song, the United Servo Academy Men's Chorus singing an amazingly harmonized piece directed by our primary, Tom Servo himself.
Welcome, my friends. We are very fortunate to have with us today the United Servo Academy Men's Chorus, directed by United Servo Academy Men's Choral Director, Vice Brigadier Sir Thomas Bullhead Servo.
Here's to the guys and gals who like to fly, flying so high with some guy in the sky.
Wouldn't you like to fly in my beautiful balloon? Take these broken wings and learn to fly me to the moon. Cross the wide
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
A helicopter heads out into the desert since John and Lyons have gone missing. In a terrible coincidence, John's dad calls to bother the colonel again at that exact moment, asking how his son's doing instead of, I don't know, attempting to contact his son himself. Anyway, the colonel doesn't give any of the details and hangs up as quickly as possible. It turns out that John landed safely at a different field, while Lyons had to eject in the middle of the desert where, thankfully, the helicopter finds him safe and sound. At the next meeting of their group, it turns out they're almost ready to head to Europe for a mission of some sort of importance, I'm sure. But not before trying out a new piece of gear with a very bizarre and full of comedic potential name that I'm going to let the film itself reveal to you.
Watch out for snakes.
Colonel Hunt's office.
Yes? Well, I'd love to see you again, too.
Well, yes, just a moment.
It's Mom and she's mad.
Hell of a way to run a railroad.
God, my face is big.
Colonel Hunt here. Hello, Colonel Hunt.
Ah.
This is John Witkowski. We haven't talked together for a few months now, so I was calling to get some information from you.
What's your hat size?
Congressman, nice to hear from you.
The helicopter pilots found the plane. It's a 104, sir. They came across it in a pretty rugged area and found that the pilot had ejected. They're looking for the chute now.
What was the number of the downed plane?
4.
I don't know, sir.
Sorry to be blunt, Congressman, but I have to cut this conversation short so to keep all of our lines clear. I'll see to it that your son calls you.
My, that was blunt.
Do you realize Lyons and Witkowski haven't checked in yet?
Yes, sir.
And I don't care.
Although I did hear...
Witkowski's safe with Nellis? O'Brien, look at the scheduling board. Did Lyons take up 929?
929?
Ooh, Steve got donuts.
Yes, sir. That's Lieutenant Lyon.
Listen, he must be the chosen one.
I'll signal them with my deodorant.
This stuff really attracts helicopters.
Are the other armed services as easy listening as the Air Force?
Oh, it's pretty rough, man. I had to eat a lizard and drink my urine.
You were only here for 10 minutes.
I know, but...
Congratulations, you're the recipient of today's Lucky Rescue.
I did things I'm not proud of.
Well, that was something to do we had around here yesterday, so I'll get right to the point.
I'm Scatman Crothers.
When you get your head up where it doesn't belong, you're going to find out you're going to end up with a short end of the stick.
Dickweed, stand up and
However,
take a bow.
The investigation board...
Sergeant, would you step up here for a moment, please?
And here's Randy in the latest gear.
Sergeant here is dressed in what is known as a poopy suit.
Poopy suit?
Don't ask me why they call it that. Okay, you jocks, let's find out why you didn't join the Navy. Last one in's a Goonie bird.
Oh, why do they get the ducky, sir?
Poopy suit. Bum, 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 bum. Poopy suit.
All right, man.
Poopy suit.
The congressman calls the colonel to nag him again, because even though there's not a single scene of substance in this entire film, the movie still feels the need to continuously repeat the same scenarios throughout it. The colonel lets John excitedly break the news to his dad that he's headed to Europe with his current squad, and his dad, the loving, caring, selfless father he is, hangs up on him without a word. John asks Mary if she'll wait for the next 4 months for him, since they've developed such a beautiful relationship, and of course she agrees. And finally, this pile of absolute nothingness culminates with the Starfighters taking off into the great blue yonder of their European future.
Colonel Hunt, telephone, sir.
You mean they traced me here?
You can take it on the inside extension.
Okay, where is it?
It's Poopy Suit
Colonel
Day.
speaking. And how are you again, Congressman?
I'm fine here.
Over there, not so good.
We did not lose another plane.
We misplaced it.
That was the only one this past year.
Oh, wait, except for those
Besides,
6.
your son was a...
When we were flying together, you know as well as I do that drastic action was taken on such an occasion.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the
Sir,
Poopy
I seriously
Suit.
do not recall...
Hi, Dad. Johnny, how goes it?
Well, just great, Dad.
Bye.
Our entire squadron is being transferred to Europe to replace the squadron that's returning.
Doe.
Hey, Dad.
Dad, I just really need your love and support right now. Dad.
I'm beginning to miss you already.
But I'm not gone, so...
Honey, I was wondering
If you heard how the twins are doing.
if I could ask you to wait for me.
Right here, under this
Johnny, I
tree.
was hoping you'd ask.
And to think that at the beginning of this film, all these characters were strangers to us.
Now they're like family. Should we get frequent flyer miles for watching this?
You know, it's all kind of dull until you remember how sharp those wings are.
Receiving a Bachelor of Arts degree.
I've got a lump in my throat.
I've got a lump in my poopy suit.
And now cut that out.
Corlight lead George Tower. Winds are calm. Clear for takeoff.
Just leave, please.
So, it seems like they're leaving.
Yep, that'd be the indication I would get from the kind of thing that...
Yep.
Captain, is Europe a big country? Over.
Captain, I don't speak Europe.
It's hard to see them going when you care so much about them.
I think this is for the best. Their faces had really worn out their welcome here.
But it does appear that they're leaving.
Yep.
They're leaving.
So basically, according to themselves, the Air Force is a bunch of leather-faced, not-so-bright, heavy-drinking, dull-witted speed freaks who poop in their pants and can't make it with women, right? Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
But you could...
And we end the show with Crow finally being able to surf the web and some letter reading. Nothing to really find too interesting.
And I'm in!
Wow!
Oh, sweet information superhighway! What gem bring you me from the far reaches of cyberspace?
It says, hi, this is Frodo. You want to play four-person boogers?
Oh.
Sure!
Dear Mike, Crow, and Tom, last Christmas we got this used plastic tree, so we spray painted it fuchsia and cobalt blue, silver and white. Luckily, I realized that Tom's face would make for a wonderful tree topper, so show that picture there.
Wow, that'd be a weird feeling.
Overall, I enjoy this episode, and I do think it needs more eyes on it, but I'll admit it's not as great as I remembered it. There's some good riffing here, like how oddly inappropriate the music choices are, and the jokes regarding it are some of my absolute favorites here. And as far as I can see, this one is often slept on by the Misty community. But I do have a couple issues with it that keep me from truly loving it. Having multiple scenes of boring refueling footage that are filled to the brim with almost nothing but extremely similar sex and morning after related humor over and over and over again is boring. I know there are people out there that find those scenes very funny, and that's totally cool. I'm by no means judging your sense of humor on that. It just gets real tedious, real fast for me. I'm not anti-innuendo or anything, there's just too many and too short of a span here. And I understand that scenes have to be difficult to riff with so little material, but they've been able to make much other dull scenes, even entirely dull films, much, much funnier and much more clever. This is also an episode that has a decent case of bad host segmentitis. I find by no means all, but quite a few of the season 6 and 7 and sci-fi era episodes to be stricken with this ailment, and this installment's no exception. As I mentioned before, Cowboy Mite's Red Hot Ricochet barbecue sauce is gloriously goofy, and the United Servo Academy men's chorus is a great number that deserves more attention. But other than those two, the segments here are about as uninteresting as the refueling scenes. The cold open, the first two mid-film segments, and the closing all feel like slogs to get back into the theater, or in the case of the last one, to the credits. And finally, despite the film not really having a plot at all, the guys let so much of the dialogue play out uninterrupted. In a movie with a more complex plot or weird twists or a script so bad it's entertaining on its own, I understand letting most of the dialogue play out. But if there was ever a film that could have used more riffing during the dialogue scenes, it's this one. There are so many long stretches of nothing happening and very few riffs to lighten it. The phone call scenes, both with John's dad and the bad comedic timing ones, are some of the worst offenders here. While I always encourage a person to watch an episode for themselves at least once, if you're behind on a lot of MST3K, you don't need to put this one too high on your watch list. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and thanks to all my high-flying Patreon supporters, including Jackie Ball and Kevin Nata. And thanks again to Enshohma for suggesting this one. Sorry if the review's a bit more negative than most non-season 1 episode reviews, but I was actually kind of disappointed rewatching this one for the first time in a while. I just found it duller than I recalled. Ah well, there are many other more interesting episodes to move on to, and if you have any suggestions on which episode I should review next, please leave them in the comments. Also, thank you all so much for your kind words of support the last couple of weeks. I recently had to have a surgery on a hip fracture. It was literally a freak accident. I don't know how it happened to me, but I had to end up having a surgery and have a nail put in my hip. So many of you have been so kind during this time, and I want to thank you so much for all your awesomeness. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys later.
I really think there's more nothing in this movie than in any movie we've seen.